they've only been over there for about a day and a half. The chicken stuff, so he got a whole lot of all these fences and energizers for almost nothing because they didn't have any. We try to move them about once a week, depending on rain and where we're at. In this orchard situation, they need to be moved a little bit more often, but we always want to make sure they have plenty of grass and scrub and everything else to forage on.
Are you tending just to go around the perimeter of the orchard, or will you eventually cut through the center of it?
Basically, where we were along the perimeter, it cuts about halfway through, so we're taking about half of this orchard up.
Okay.
If you can see, straight down there is the end of it. So we're kind of doing a wagon wheel effect around the corner here.
Yep.
And we'll continue this way and then go back in that direction.
How long have the chickens been in this area? Not very long, right?
Yeah, we haven't got any rain for several months, so this stuff is pretty dry and pretty beat down. But they've been in here since Sunday. We moved. It was kind of a multiple day move, so part of it they've been in since Friday, part of it they've been in since Sunday. But most of it's just since Sunday. Like this green area over here has been since Sunday. So 2 days.
Yeah, so now seeing the coop, I mean, wide open there. They just go in there for the roost, to lay the eggs, everything else, the water, that's outdoors, the feed's outdoors, and a lot of them under the trees.
Yeah, and when it starts to heat up again, we move the waters and the shade so the water stays cool. Heat is a big issue. Shade is a lot more important than I had anticipated. So it's one of the reasons we have the actual 4 structures instead of just 2. But in the summertime, I'll fill the water in the evening, and it'll cool overnight actually. And so the water will still be, in 70 degrees or so throughout most of the day, and for them if it stays in the shade. And feeders, right now it's dry. We don't have any chance of rain, so I have the tops off. The more we move those, the more prone they are to getting little cracks, and it's a little more labor to move those. But
and you're moving the fence about once a week now?
yeah, once a week. This setup here right now is I'm trying to do something new to where they have their main forage area, and then I have a little area for the actual structures. So I'm going to see if it'll cut down a little bit of labor and a little bit of time. I'll just feed them, roll that fence up, so the one that's rolled up right there in the corner, cut them off while they're eating, and then I'll take down the other fence and move it, and do the same thing on the other side of this little corral structure, if you will.
Because at first when you're saying it's tough to shoot the chickens, and I was thinking, oh, why don't you just move the fence when the chickens are in the eggmobile? But you don't have a closed-in eggmobile, so it's not an option. Yeah, it's best to move them when they're hungry, and also when it's not the heat of the day too. It's not that much of an issue right now, but that does have an effect on their moving. In this feed right now, this is the 1/4 pound per day per bird?
Yeah, it's estimated, yeah. So it comes in 40-pound bags, so we'll give them 3 bags one day and 2 bags the next day. It comes out over a period of 2 days. They each get a 1/4 pound per day per bird. But okay. Yeah, so they have a little bit of feed left over today. If it would have been the 2-bag day, they've probably already eaten it all. 2x3.
Mike, I'm here with you. You partner with Eric on the egg business here at Steadfast Farm. You manage that operation. Right now you've collected the eggs. One thing that I think a lot of people who sell eggs find tedious is the washing. You guys have a pretty simple yet effective way to do that. Can you kind of talk about the process of how you go from, dirty, soiled eggs like this to clean eggs that you can actually sell?
Absolutely. These are about the dirtiest you'll ever see. But we just do a quick rough washing with the hose in the sink here. The sink is dedicated for eggs and hand washing, so it's separate from all the other things here on the farm. And then we I let them sit for a few minutes in a pre-rinse and a pre-wash bucket to kind of soften up anything that's remaining.
Yep.
And then put them in the wash bucket, which is just a bubbler, and breaks off anything that's left over. We rinse them off and we hang them up to dry a little bit and put them in the egg cartons.
Lay them out. I mean, the one thing I see in here that makes this really efficient that I like is you're never taking them out of the basket.
Correct.
You're not dumping the eggs, risk cracking. So you just, at every stage of this, the pre-wash, the soak, and the bubbler, they all stay in the same basket.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, you want to reduce the handling of the eggs as much as possible because that's where all the breakage occurs. So.
And for these eggs, you're collecting daily?
Daily, twice a day usually.
Twice a day. How many eggs you guys get in a day?
We're a little bit low right now because it's about the shortest days of the year that we're going to see here in the next 2 weeks. So they're laying about 60%.
Okay.
They lay a lot much better when the days start to lengthen out. But right now we're getting about 240 to 260, averaging 250 a day.
250 a day out of how many total birds?
We have roughly 420 birds.
So 100-degree water for the bubbler. You get that from the water heater here.
Correct.
And then the bubble buckets are just specifically set up so you have like that air pump in the bottom.
Right. There's just a Schrader valve on the bottom. You can see the back, and it screws in to there and goes directly to the little air pump. This disc sits on the top. That prevents too much agitation of the eggs. That will actually crack them, so that it kind of mitigates the bounce of the eggs.
How'd you guys come upon like 7 minutes to 10 minutes to soak them? Is that like what they recommend?
That's what's recommended by the Incredible Egg Washing Company.
Yeah.
And so we just follow their directions.
Do you generally find, are you doing any touch-up on these cleaning, or does this?
It depends. Rarely. Some of the rarely soiled ones, or if something skips through, like sometimes in the very center will be a dirty one. I keep a damp cloth over there, and I'll wipe it off right there.
Right. But in general, this does all the work for you. So,
correctly. Yeah, it does probably 90-95% of it.
So you're really spending more time packing eggs than you are washing eggs, because you're not doing any of the washing. Yeah,
right now most of the time is spent actually packaging the eggs and filling up and dumping out buckets. So. On average, when we pick the eggs up, we get seven dozen per basket. Is what we pick up, and then I try to level them off before we wash them. So I average, just for an eyeball, I figure 6.5 dozen per basket.
Okay.
And I use that number for how many eggs carton.
As simple as possible. A little bit of extra labor, which seemed like a lot more value on the back end for on the consumer side. Like they just like, wow, these are like these premium boutique egg kind of a thing, and so it just looked like there was that attention to detail, that extra bit. But the egg stamper we use, it's made for eggs, and so it's pliable and it cups right around them, and so you're literally just boom, 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 and the ink's in the stamp itself, and so it goes super quick.
I like the idea of it. It does take a commodity product and suddenly says, okay, this is premium.
Yeah.
A little bit of work.
Yeah. And then, so initially it was the Old Farm and the Old Farm logo we had on there, and that was stamping on the eggs. And then when we switched to the Steadfast, we created that brand, and we had a chicken icon. So we thought that would be a great thing, which is essentially the same as what's on the carton. But then we were doing duck eggs at the same time, and we were sending flats to restaurants with chicken and duck eggs, and we could easily tell the difference between the two types of eggs, but not all kitchen staff can, and so we thought, well, that would be a really easy way. So we started stamping all the duck eggs with a duck stamp on there, and then the chicken, and so they could quickly, and so, because we found we'd go in and they'd be, with a Sharpie, they'd write D on all the eggs or something like that, so it wouldn't mess up, so like, okay, let's take this out of there.
We do get quite a few of them returned by our customers to reuse, so I like to use the good ones first.
The cartons? Yeah.
Correct. I'm just crossing out the old date.
The old dates and reusing them, and then you're just getting, starting with pure, unlabeled, blank, totally blank carton. And then the wholesale flats go to restaurants.
sides and go high.
We have about 50, 55 altogether, so I'll prepare 40 cartons, just in case. I won't stamp the date on the last 10, so stamping the date removes a little bit of labor when you're packaging the eggs, and it's a little bit quicker to do it here, but it also prevents you from having date stamped cartons that you're not going to use.
You're not going to use, right, and then you got to line it out. For the wholesale eggs, do you just stamp the eggs themselves, that's it?
For the wholesale eggs, we just put our chicken stamp on it, or our logo.
Nothing on the carton? Or
no, they're well. Sometimes we'll label them with tape or whatever if we keep them in inventory so that we know when they were set aside. But they go out the next day.
What would you say you're spending per day in terms of labor hours on the eggs? More than 2 hours a day?
About 2 on average. The longest days are moving them and egg washing days. Egg washing days right now aren't too bad. They're only about, I knock this out about an hour and a half usually.
How many out of 7 days are you washing eggs?
2. We wash eggs on Tuesday and Friday right now.
Tuesday and Friday.
Yeah, so they have markets on. Well, they have market on Saturday, and then Wednesday they do a lot of their wholesale deliveries and also CSA deliveries. And I think they're doing one market on Wednesday right now.
And moving the coop is just you tow the egg mobile down and then move the fencing?
Yeah, the fencing is usually what takes the longest. The ground out here is a little difficult to step them in and shoeing all the chickens.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a learning process. I do that now. I use feed, use their hunger as a tool.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'll do is I'll set up the fence and not feed them, until I'm done setting the fence up. Then I'll set the fence, feed them in the new area, and then cordon it off and take the old fence down.
Do you have to shut them in every night?
No, we don't. We haven't had much issue with predators here. The biggest problem we've had was some neighbors' stray dogs that came in when the fence fell down. We didn't notice it, but I learned that it's best to pull the corners of the fence down, putting the corner post on the outside, than to put it inside, leaning against it, because it provides a lifting moment. And if you tension it enough, it'll pop it up and pop the corner down. So we did lose lost I think 7 to some dogs one day. And then for a while there was this hawk that migrates back and forth, the largest hawk in the U.S. I think we lost a few aerial predators, like 2 or 3 that way, but not many.
So that's nice. You don't have to put them in every night. How many sections of fence are you using?
I have used 2 of the longer sections. I believe they are 184 feet. The Premier One poultry net, and then 2 short sections crossways. So it's a rectangle, 2 long, 2 short. Right now I am toying around with the new idea of putting basically the structures and the laying boxes and the feeders in a kind of a little bit, not necessarily a central location, but one that doesn't move as often as the fence. And it'll also give me 2 sections to eat more easily, so I'll feed I'll have the structure section where their shade and boxes are, and then the fence section, and then I'll feed them. I'll close that section up so they're locked in with the feeders and the structures, and then move the fence to the other side of it, and I'll use that same area a couple of times.
And you guys sell the eggs for $7 a dozen at the farmer's market?
I believe, yeah, $7 at the farmer's market, and then there's also, and we sell also some wholesale to some restaurants and CSA customers as well.
Bag feed, you guys are feeding bag feed, it's organic feed?
Yeah, it's non-GMO feed we get from Bar Ale. It's a company in California. I believe they're in Southern California.
What do you guys pay for a 40 or 50 pound bag? You know?
It's a 40-pound bag, and we pay $15 a bag. So
cheap.
Yeah, it's not too. It's 35 cents a pound, which is pretty good. I mean, typically most organic feed is, you know, you're in the 60-cent area retail. We were getting when we started, we were getting some from Tractor Supply. They had their, you know, I believe you had it, the Nature's Best. It was on sale for a few months, and we were getting it for like 49 cents, 50 cents. That worked pretty well for us. But this company's been really good. They deliver on time. The local company that's the distributor pre-orders it for me every time I call to order the feed. They've already got it ordered, so it's working out pretty well. These will hold 30 dozen eggs. Pretty nice looking.
Yeah, I've actually never seen these before. So this is just, you line your cartons up in here. It makes it easy to transport. They're not getting roughed up. You can stack these.
Correct, and they also nest with each other. If you turn them 180 degrees, they'll sit inside of that other crate.
Oh, okay, like this for storage.
Correct.
Yeah, brilliant.
And this is nice because they're not resting on the eggs, and it protects the egg underneath. So this water isn't really cold. The water out of the tap never really gets cold around here. But it does help to not shock the eggs that come out of the cooler, because the eggs in the cooler are about 39 degrees, and this warms them up to about 50 or 60 degrees, or actually probably closer to 70 degrees before we put them in 100-degree water. So
let them adjust to air temp.
Especially in the summertime, because the water gets warmer than 100.
Yeah, oh, I bet.
Duck them in and out a few times. Rinse any of the residual egg wash powder off.
So these have gone from the bubbler into clean water?
Correct. Yeah, it's just clean rinse water. We don't want to make a puddle, but let as much drip off as possible. Start packaging right here.
Just let them dry.
Keep a damp cloth here in case there's any that snuck through. Take a quick look at them, make sure they're not cracked. And then see, this one has cracks in it. So I keep a flat here for our rejected eggs. We'll take the cracked homes. Anything that's leaking goes in this bucket. We pitch those in the woods, and then occasionally we'll get some odd-shaped ones. They'll be too big or too small, or you know, just a funky-looking eggshell, and we'll put those here. You know that they're not cracked, but they're not going out.
Right.
See, that's one we won't keep.
Yeah, leaker.
Yeah, so just throw it in here. That one's smaller than a medium, so we won't put it in with the rest.
What do you think you guys have into a dozen in terms of price? If you're selling them for $7, do you have a sense of where you're at?
About $3.
$3, okay. So $4 a dozen.